hey there, hey there, hey there, hey there, hey there, hey there, hey there. Hi, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you, how are you, how are you? My name is Jettison. But as always, you can call me Jets. And that's Jets, Jets. You're on my channel now, which means that you're in a quiet, as we can manage, and a safe space. In this video, I'm going to be over-explaining some simple objects to you, so I hope you find it tingly, and I hope you have a good night. So let's get started. This is a mic cover. Do you know what that is? Do you know what a microphone is? Okay, I do have one right here. This is a microphone. Do you hear that in your ears? You do. It's like a nice deep rumbling. Now I'm going to switch it. You see how I'm manipulating the sound in your ears by doing that? Well, this is a soft cover that can go over the top of it. What does it do? Well, first of all, it protects the microphone. You know, it helps prevent any spit getting on it, because it is an electronic, and we typically don't want to get electronics wet, so that helps with that. It can also help buffer a little bit of sound, which we don't really care about in ASMR, because we're trying to get all the good sounds. See, it has a hole here in the bottom. You see that? It's gonna eat you. It's not going to eat you. Don't worry. Microphone covers do not do that. You have nothing to fear. These are not a predator of man, woman, or anything in the binary. You do not have to worry about that. Now, what you do have to worry about is putting this on the microphone. So you see this hole here? You're going to take that and you're going to put it like that. Now, since it is nice and thick and fluffy, not as fluffy as another one, but it is fluffy in its own right, you kind of have to wedge it on there in a way. Now listen to the difference. Do you understand better now what I was saying? This is a much different experience for your ears. And as an added bonus, like I said, it protects the microphone. Hear how soft it is. Now brace yourself as I take it off. I'm going to try to be very gentle. And that's how you use a microphone cover. Do you think you understand now? Like I said, you don't have to worry. This is not a predator. See the difference? It's good to keep these on your microphone when they're not in use as well, just to protect them from dust. But now that I think you understand this concept of a microphone cover pretty well, I'll move on to my next object. This is the next object that I have. Do you know what this is? Okay, so you do know what a jar is. Do you know what its purpose? Okay. You're almost there. So this opens. Yes, it opens. It is not just a pretty little box. It opens and you can put things inside of it. Now this is a small little box, container, jar, whatever you want to call it. We have a lot of words, a lot of synonyms. Synonyms are your best friend when you're a writer because you kind of get in a rut and you say the same things over and over a lot. It happens. It's okay. Anyways, this is a little jar. And like I said, you can store things in it. Now, what you want to put in it is up to you. This one's a little bit small, and it says rejuvenating lip mask on top. As you can see, there's nothing in it. So either whatever was in here has been used or has never been put in. You can make your own conclusions as to that. But this is a plastic jar, as you can hear. Do you hear that? Sometimes jars will have little descriptions on the bottom of them that explain what's inside. Now this one, like I said, has nothing in it. There's nothing in it. So you don't have to worry about any allergens or anything that might be inside making you sick. You don't have to worry about that. Don't have to worry about it. It's just a small plastic jar that you can put things in. Like I said, it's small, so whatever you put in here also needs to be small, or perhaps a liquid. You could also put a liquid in here. It does say it's a lip mask, so you could always make a lip mask and put it in here if that's what you desire. Now I'm going to show you how to open it. So there is this little seam in this plastic that splits it in half. Do you see that? Do you see what I'm talking about? Okay, good. Now all you have to do you know the little rhyme, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey? It's kind of a universal saying. Usually when you turn something to the right, you're going to tighten it. And if you turn something to the left, it's going to loosen. That's kind of a universal rule. So when you go to turn this, you turn it to the left. And let's see. Okay, it's twisting. It's twisting. Okay, and now you see that you have split it in half. This is the lid, and this is the container part. A jar always has two parts, at least. Do you hear that? That is what it sounds like when you fail to put a lid back on a jar. A small plastic jar. Now, why am I struggling to put it back on? I'm not really struggling. I'm just trying to make a pleasant noise for you. It almost, in a way, kind of sounds like a frog. You ever been out at a creek at night and you hear all those frogs singing? If you haven't, you're missing out. I've always lived in the country until recently. So, this was a nightly occurrence. But this is not a frog. So, this is a jar. And I have split it into, we have the container part where you can put something in there. Do you want to put something in there? Okay, you're okay with it being empty. This is the lid part. It says it's for a lip mask. Do you have a lip mask? You do not. That's okay. You can put whatever you want in jars. It doesn't have to be what's labeled. That's a little bit tricky. So don't endanger yourself doing that. Make sure you always label your jars. Always label your jars accurately. You never know. You never know. So you take the container part and you take the lid part. And do you remember the little saying I gave you earlier? Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So which way are you going to turn it? If you want to put the lid back on, you're going to turn it right. That is correct. Look at that. You put the jar back together. Now there's nothing inside it, so so you can put whatever you want in there. I would suggest something kind of liquid since it's small. Do you think you understand what a jar is now? Okay, good. We'll move on to the next object. Now this is similar to the jar. Yes, I know it's much, much larger, but it's similar to the jar in that this is a box. Now what's the difference between a box and a jar? Well, a box is typically a rectangle or a square shape, I would argue, and a jar is usually some kind of cylinder. When I think of a jar, I think of liquid items, and when I think of a box, I think of solid items. Is it the same for you? So this is a box, and you can put things in this box. You might be asking yourself how, because this kind of looks like a solid piece of wood. Do you hear how this wood sounds? This wood has had images cut into it. As you can see, it's flowers. It has had flowers cut into it. Because someone wanted to make it pretty. Why do we make things pretty? Because that is human nature. I cannot explain human nature to you in a 20-minute video, but maybe you will understand. So if you notice, this box has a few sides. This would be considered the top of the box. Why is it considered the top of the box? Because when the box sits flat on its bottom, you can tell this is the bottom because there's no design. It's flat so that it can fit on any surface. When it sits on its bottom, this is what you see. You see this top piece. So this is the front because this is how you would watch it. This is how you would see it on the shelf. It'd be sitting like this. So this is the front, and then you have a side here and a side here, and then you have the back. Now the back of this thing is decorated as well, which is interesting to me. Interesting. But as you can see on the back, there are these hinges. Do you know what hinges are? Have you ever opened a door? Okay, when you open a door, it moves on its hinges, okay? And that's how you're able to open it. If it didn't have hinges, it would be a wall. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, good. So, like with the jar, you know how it was ratty-tidy, lefty-loosey? Okay, it's not really like that with boxes. Boxes have hinges. So if you want to open a box, you're going to turn it back to the front, and there is usually a seam like there is with a jar. But instead of going to the left to open it, you're going to pull upwards like so. Do you see how we opened that? Would you like me to show you again? So you push down and you close it. I'm not going to close it all the way because this box is a little bit loud when I do that. But you pull up and it opens. And as you can see, there is a red velvet inside. Now why is there a red velvet inside? Like I said, the person who made this was an artisan. And so they wanted to make it pretty and they chose red. You can put anything you want in this box, just like you did the jar. I would not recommend liquid though, because like I said, boxes usually have solid objects in them, sometimes valuables, and jars tend to have liquid items. Do you hear that velvet? Sounds nice, doesn't it? Do you think you understand how to open a box now? Or do you need me to explain further? Remember, instead of turning to the left, you have to push down and then up to open it. Do you think you understand how to operate a box? Good. I'll move on to my next item. The next thing that I have is a book. Do you know what a book is? You're familiar with the concept. Okay, good. So, a book is also something that you open. Now, in different parts of the world, sometimes times you will open them either from the front or what we in North America consider the back. You will sometimes open it from that. If you read manga, you would feel like you were reading it backwards. Because in America, we read left to right, and then in manga, you read right to left. Interesting how reading has evolved in different cultures. But this is a book, and this is an American book, so you open it from the left. Do you hear how it sounds? This book is a hardback with a paper cover. Do you know what that means? It means the book itself is nice and stiff. It's not like it's made out of the page paper. Do you know what I mean? Am I not explaining it well enough? Okay, let me open it up and maybe I can show you better. So do you see how this is like paper? Nice and thin. Something you would write on maybe? Okay, well on the inside, this is a harder wood. It's all made out of the same stuff. They're all made out of trees, cardboard, all that good stuff. So they may be made out of the same thing, but they're used slightly differently. So like I was saying, this is made out of hard wood, which makes it a hardback book, but then it has a paper cover. So do you see what I'm saying better? Good. That's why it sounds like that. So on the back of books, sometimes you will get a summary of what you're going to read, and then other times you will get, what is that called? You will get reviews from other people who have read the book. I don't know why their opinion matters, to be fair, because everyone will form their own opinion when they read a book, and it annoys me a little bit when you turn it over and it's just reviews. I think that should be included on the inside of a book, because when I look at the back of it, I'm looking for a summary. Now in this book, the summary is going to be on the inside flap. Like I said, it may not always be like that. It may be on the back, or it may be on the inside flap. Sometimes it even continues on to the next one. Now this one has the author's information on this side. So sometimes you have to explore a book a little bit if you want to figure out what it's about. Or you could always read reviews online, or have it recommended to you by a friend or someone else you know. Now a book will always have a title on the front page. That way you know what it is called. And then usually it will have an author's name somewhere on the cover as well. That way you're getting the most important information. Now on the spine, it's pretty much the same. This is if you're going to have it on a shelf and you can only see it like that. So you want the title and you want the author. That way you know who you're looking for. Now sometimes covers are plain and sometimes they're a little bit decorative like this one is. What kind of feeling does this image invoke in you? How does it make you feel? Are you able to read what the words say? The title is In the Dream House, a memoir. And the person's name is Carmen Maria Machado. I'm assuming that's how that is pronounced. And that is who wrote the book. It is a memoir. Do you know what a memoir is? A memoir is when you write about a certain period in your life. That is the difference between a memoir and a biography. A biography is about your entire life. A memoir is about one small chunk. I prefer to read memoirs. What do you prefer to read? If you don't know what an autobiography is, that's when it's written by the author themselves. They wrote it. A biography is sometimes written by someone who was not that person, but an autobiography was written by the person who actually lived that life. That is the difference. Do you think you understand the concept of books? Why would anyone pick one up? Well, there's stories on the inside. I don't know if I explained that, but there's stories in here. And stories are a fun way to escape reality or maybe glean some information, think about the world a little bit differently. So books are honestly a form of escapism or a form of getting information. So do you think you understand better? Would you ever pick up a book on your own? There's so many in the world. So many in the world. Honestly, nowadays you don't even have to pick up a physical book. You can always just get online. Have you heard of the concept of fan fiction? I would explain it to you, but I don't think I have enough time left. Maybe in a different video I'll explain fan fiction to you if you're interested. But those are the objects that I had for you. I hope you learned some new things. Maybe you can spread on the information if you would like. And I'll see you in the next video. Good night, good night, good night.